As the treaty was being signed across the motu, or land, settlers from England were arriving into Wellington. With them came the expectation to find places of worship in the ways they were accustomed. Although Māori missions continued, there was a growing expectation that the mainline mission of the Anglican Church in Aotearoa would serve the needs of the arriving settlers. As a church, we began to lose our way in relation to Te Tiriti. With the exception of a few visionary voices, we fell slowly into a reality which was less and less about partnership. CMS missionaries like Richard Taylor in Whanganui and Octavius Hadfield in Kapiti still worked primarily with Māori, but now operated with different responsibilities and accountabilities. Sometimes they were forced to negotiate or mediate between vastly different worldviews. At the same time, the flourishing model of empowering kai whakaako, the Māori evangelist teachers, to share the gospel was sidelined in favour of ordained leaders with an education similar to that received in Oxford or Cambridge. The leaders of our diocese believed that developing the church meant acquiring more land, recruiting more clergy from England, and raising more money. The priority of obtaining land to build on overtook the injustice of the land sales. Sometimes we did not use land gifted by Māori for specific purposes in the way in which it should have been. One example is in Whitireia, Porirua. The land had been gifted to us by Ngāti Toa for a church school for their children. We never built the school, and Ngāti Toa asked for the land back. A famous court case followed, taken by Wee Parata against the now second Bishop of Wellington, Octavius Hadfield. Parata argued that the treaty had been breached by our actions, but the judge dismissed the case and the validity of the treaty, calling it a legal nullity. This court case, which we were party to, led to the treaty being disregarded in New Zealand for many, many years. As the 19th century continued and the land-based wars of the 1860s and beyond emerged, many Māori became increasingly disillusioned with the response of many in the Pākehā Church to the conflict. From the period of the land wars and on into the late 19th and early 20th centuries, many of the Māori religious movements emerged. These were born out of a sense of Māori alienation and disappointment with European Christian expressions of spirituality and a lack of response of the established church to injustice. The most famous of this in our diocese is that of the Rātana movement, led by the prophet Tahupōtiki Wiremu Rātana. In 1925, the North Island Anglican bishops issued a pastoral letter threatening to excommunicate those who accepted Rātana's teaching of healing, justice and equality. Half of the Māori population within the Wellington Diocese would become Rātana. By 1928, the Anglican Church's General Synod had established a separate Māori diocese led by its first bishop, Frederick Bennett. Even then, however, there remained huge structural and financial inequities between the Māori diocese and bishopric and the remainder of the Anglican Church. As the 20th century progressed, and as New Zealand society awakened to issues of historic and ongoing injustice, we began to realise as a church that we also needed to explore what the bicultural relationship meant for us. In 1986, the Anglican Church received the Te Kaupapa Tikanga Rua Bicultural Report, which explored the history of our church in relation to Te Tiriti. As Archbishop David Moxon wrote, the report concluded that the treaty vision of bicultural development and the principle of partnership were consistent with the gospel of Jesus Christ, a form of mutual interdependence and good faith. The report recommended constitutional reform as a way of honouring the treaty, and as Archbishop Moxon notes, as a way of witnessing to the nation about a founding document that the Church had translated, preached, and enabled. The decision was seeking restorative justice in the name of God. In 1992, the constitution of our province changed to become the three tikanga church we know today. 30 years on, we continue to work together to live out what this means. There is still so much to do, and we do it not just because of the biblical call to justice, or because of our responsibility as midwives to the treaty. We do it because our partnership as tangata whenua and tangata tiriti is a blessing, and because we are stronger together in the name of Jesus. Weave the cloak with rainbow colours. If the cloak is left to fray, it will fall apart. Therefore, weave the cord strongly so that it is firm forever.